What's up, everyone? My name is Andrew, and today we're going to go over step by step how my client Pam lost 21 pounds in under 90 days, 51 pounds a day, and completely transformed her body and health. I'm going to be giving you every single thing that we did so that you can do it too. So grab a pen and paper, take some notes, and come back to this if you need to, but make sure you can pay attention while you're watching this because I promise you it's going to be a game changer. Okay, so how Pam lost 21 pounds in less than 90 days and eliminated bloating with human biomapping without starving herself or spending hours in the gym, all while running a successful business. So Pam wasn't just struggling with her weight. She also had low energy, gut issues, and her health was deteriorating. And we were able to fix all of that by the end of our time working together. She's actually still working with me. But before we get to the details of how we did this, I wanted to show you what she looked like before she went through human biomapping, what she looks like now. I mean, her transformation is insane. She's fitting into clothes that she wore before she had 4 kids, like this dress here. And for the men that are watching, yes, that this works for you too. You know, Dave was able to lose 81 pounds, Sean 39, myself 40, my client Tom lost over 25 pounds. So this works for men as well. Who this is for? If you are looking to drop 15 more pounds of fat and improve your health without doing a restrictive, unsustainable diet in 90 days, then this is for you. If you're a high performer or entrepreneur excelling in your career and you want to increase your energy and perform better, if you need to be a better role model for your family, if you're sick of feeling bloated and uncomfortable in your clothes all the time, if you have tried to eat better and exercise more, but no matter what you do, nothing seems to work. And if you feel like something is off, but maybe your doctor says everything looks fine and you just want answers, then this is going to be for you. Who this is not for. If you're looking to lose weight as fast as possible with no regard to how unhealthy it is, this isn't going to be for you. If you want to use a traditional fad diet or generic program that's made for masses, this isn't going to be for you. If you live paycheck to paycheck and you're looking for the cheapest option out there, it's not going to be for you. And if you don't care about improving your health in the process, and if you don't want to address problems at their root and would rather take a pill or an injection, this isn't going to be for you. If any of those are true, just click off this video because this probably will not work for you. Now, here's the truth about losing 20 pounds that nobody else will tell you. You can absolutely lose weight, eliminate bloating, increase your energy without cutting your calories to nothing, spending hours in the gym, doing cardio, weighing and measuring your food, and you can do it in less time than it takes to watch a Netflix episode. However, most high performers and entrepreneurs are not capable of doing this because they don't fundamentally understand how to improve their hormones, gut health, and metabolism naturally, how to create and implement the most efficient and effective plan possible, and really they don't understand how to find the root cause of weight loss resistance. So they guess and they try a random diet or program and hope for the best. But if you're watching this, you're already on the right track and stopping yourself from making simple, common, avoidable, and time-sucking mistakes. Here are some limiting beliefs that you'll need to protect yourself from. Number 1, there is no such thing as not having enough time. And there is no such thing as having to be perfect with your nutrition. You don't have to spend countless hours exercising and meal prepping or follow your plan 100% to a T in order to get weight loss results or improve your health if you can pinpoint what the real problem actually is. Most diets and programs are essentially just throwing shit at the wall though and seeing what sticks. And there ends up being a lot of waste. So instead, we figure out what's going to stick first, and then we have you throw it at the wall like a dart, saving you time and energy that comes with trial and error. And if you want to be the person throwing darts, then in this breakdown, I'm going to go over exactly how to navigate the issues that I just mentioned, how Pam was able to figure out what was stopping her from losing weight, making her feel chronically tired and causing her bloat every day, how to lose 20 pounds in under 90 days and optimize your health, and how to do all of this without starving yourself or sacrificing your time with your family or for your career. Now, but before we dive in, a little background on how we got here, and it's a little bit embarrassing, so I almost pulled this out, but here it is anyway. For a decade, I had struggled with my weight. I tried everything from keto to intense long workouts, but instead of losing weight, my health deteriorated. And I started feeling fatigued, had joint pain, started having gut issues. And then I had a real wake-up call when I was in my mid-20s, when one day, a little after meeting my wife, I couldn't get it up anymore. I was 26 years old and laying there thinking that I was going to need to start taking Viagra or that she was going to leave me. I was so desperate for answers that I spent over 10 grand on specialists that I thought could help me. And every one of them told me everything looks normal, but I was not going to just live like this forever. So I started doing my own research and I found something interesting. There was a study done in 2000 that found that 6 out of 10 Americans have a chronic inflammatory disease. And that doesn't even count the people who have chronic inflammation, but don't have disease yet. I also found that chronic inflammation leads to a state of internal stress, sometimes called fight or flight or survival mode. And in survival mode, the body prioritizes saving as much energy as possible because energy is the most important thing for survival. And we store energy as body fat. Our bodies also stop producing hormones, they stop maintaining muscle, digestion slows down, metabolism slows down. So this got me thinking, maybe I've been trying to lose weight the wrong way this whole time. Maybe it was not about dieting harder or exercising more. And then I was coaching a client one day who recommended I see a guy that he knew that could look deeper into health issues. And this is when I was first introduced to a new way of doing things. Now I call it Human Biomapping, which is a comprehensive assessment that looks deep into the key areas of health to create a truly personalized game plan for the individual. And the results for me were eye-opening. We found that my inflammation was super high. The scale is 1 to 10 for this marker that we ran, and mine was just over 10. Anything over 1 is concerning, and mine was over 10. I had a poor functioning thyroid, low testosterone, and a bunch of micronutrient deficiencies, and I had no idea that any of it was going on. So I was just flying blind, guessing and trying random things that I saw help other people, but they were never going to help me because they weren't solving my individual problems. So if you think about it like this, if you were to go to turn your faucet on to water your grass and no water were to come out, you would go find the kink in the hose and you would straighten it out. You wouldn't just turn up the dial to turn up water pressure because that doesn't fix the actual problem. Turning up the water pressure while you're going to water your grass is exactly like dieting harder and exercising more. It's a waste until you find the kink. The best part is I was able to work less hard and get faster results once I figured this stuff out. My energy came back, my sex drive improved, and I lost body fat without having to do the strict dieting and exercising that I was doing before because my body began functioning the way that it should. And I felt incredible. And then people started to notice and asked me if I could help them do the same. So I dove deep into learning, mentorships, and building on my human biology and biochemistry background that I already had to be able to help people. So now I'm helping clients like Pam lose over 20 pounds, heal their gut, rebalance hormones, boost their energy in under 90 days, and all without the need for extreme dieting or lengthy gym sessions. And like I mentioned earlier, this works for men and women who are high performers and live busy lives. Like Tom, who is an entrepreneur and the president of his company, he went from feeling fluffy and out of shape to losing over 20 pounds and looking jacked in his 50s without taking any time away from his business. Or Kristi in the middle here is an executive who went from being pre-diabetic and struggling to figure out the balance between her career and her family and her health to losing over 18 pounds, eliminating pre-diabetes, eliminating her bloating, and all while working 60 plus hour weeks and running around her kids to sports practices. And then Dave, who's a high performer that went from over 300 pounds, tired all the time, joint pains, to losing over 80 pounds, having no pain, and having tons of energy for his family when he gets home from work. Okay, so I'm gonna outline the process A to Z of what we did for Pam. So Human Biomapping is a comprehensive assessment designed to help you find the root cause of weight loss resistance, hormone imbalance, gut issues, so that you can lose 20 pounds and optimize your health as efficiently as possible. It eliminates the guessing, finds the number one thing holding you back, saves you time and energy, and creates the most effective plan for yourself. And it's broken up into 3 essential phases. Phase 1 is the foundational phase. Phase 2 is the priming phase, and phase 3 is the acceleration phase. In the foundational phase, the goal is to understand what is creating the problem. And we do that with 2 main assessments, an external assessment and an internal assessment. Our external assessment focuses on lifestyle habits and nutritional habits, stress factors, and symptoms. It helps us get clear on what your current routines and habits are like. Our internal assessment focuses on what's going on inside of you. We look at foundational hormones, metabolic function, inflammation, and biomarkers that can indicate to us where there might be problems and where we need to look deeper. From there, we may do a more comprehensive internal assessment depending on what comes back on our testing, and then we can put all of that data together and create your human biomap where we identify your unique roadblocks and where you need to focus. Okay? In the priming phase, we are essentially removing the core problems that we find in your assessment so that you can get out of that fight or flight mode, that survival mode, and into a state that will allow for easy fat loss. So we're going to focus on reducing inflammation, eliminating irritants that are causing inflammation, and gut distress, and then optimizing gut function. And this sets the foundation for improving your metabolism and your hormones. It has to happen before we try to improve your metabolism and hormones, or else phase 3 would not work. So then we move into phase 3, which is the acceleration phase. And the goal here is to optimize your metabolism and hormones so that you can lose weight without starving yourself. So we're going to balance your hormones and restore metabolism. And there are 4 main areas that we focus on to do that: nutrition, supplementation, exercise, and recovery. And when we get this right, and your body starts to function the way it's designed to, losing weight simply happens as a byproduct. It's awesome. So here is how we customize this process for Pam and implemented human biomapping into her life. Pam was always thin, super active in her 20s and 30s. She ran marathons, she skied all the time, but then she had kids and she slowed down moving into her 40s. She didn't really feel like much changed, but gradually she gained 65 pounds and really did not feel like herself. On one of her calls, I even remember her saying, I just look in the mirror and I think, who is that? It doesn't even feel like me. And so in phase 1, we are taking the time to understand what is really going on in the first place. And most people skip this entirely because they wouldn't really know what to do with the results usually and the information that they would get. So it wouldn't be helpful, but that leaves them in a place where they have to make a guess. And for some people, they guess right. For other people like myself, they guess wrong. And then they put in a bunch of effort and time doing stuff that is not going to work. And that's super frustrating. And since you're a high performer, you don't have time to waste doing stuff that is going to work, right? Unfortunately, that was what was happening with Pam as well. She had tried a bunch of diets and workout programs and wasn't having the success that she felt like she should have. So let's start with her external assessment. Here's what we found in her diagnostic intake. Number one, her eating patterns were all over the place. She owns a brick and mortar tax business with multiple locations. So she's constantly driving from location to location and often miss meals. She would wake up feeling okay, but as the day went on, her bloating would get worse. And this is a strong indication of something called SIBO, which is small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. And that accounts for 70% of IBS cases. Number three, after expanding her business, she became more sedentary and she was only getting about 1,000, 2,000 steps a day. Number four, her sleep was pretty bad. She was always thinking about the things that she had to do for the next day. And so she had some anxiety that was preventing her from sleeping. Super common for high performers. Number five, she would wake up feeling tired as if even if she didn't sleep well, she'd wake up feeling tired and didn't have energy throughout the day. Number six, her protein intake was super low. So the main takeaway for us was that we need to look deeper into gut health, her energy issue, and get her body moving. Then we took a look at her internal assessment. The main thing that we found in her internal assessment, which, her labs and her testing, was that she was pre-diabetic and arguably diabetic based on her numbers. She wasn't handling blood sugar well at all. And this meant that she was storing more fat than she should. And you can see in this image here that when we worked together, her blood sugar level started at 180 and anything over 128 is considered diabetic. And we were able to cut that number in half into the optimal range under 100. She was also insulin resistant. Insulin resistance is a hormone imbalance that can lead to diabetes along with other inflammatory issues. Number three, her inflammatory markers were high. And as you know from my story, this is going to result in weak metabolism and hormonal imbalance as well. Number four, we confirmed that she has SIBO. And number five, she had a bunch of nutrient deficiencies as well, vitamin D, magnesium, B vitamins, and iron. Now, everyone's assessment is going to look a little bit different. So what we do from here can change a little bit. But for Pam, her core constraints, number one, a bacterial overgrowth in the gut leading to poor digestion and inflammation. Number two, a chronic inflammatory condition, which is prediabetes, causing hormonal imbalances and poor blood sugar regulation. And number three was a weak metabolism because she had nutrient deficiencies, low activity, and poor recovery. Now we know exactly where to focus for Pam in order to get her the best results as quickly and effectively as possible. So she was eating around 1,000 calories per day when she came to me, but nothing was happening. And that's because cutting calories was not solving the problem. So let's look at what we did instead. On the right here is Pam's starting point. So we have to start with reducing inflammation and improving gut health, because if we don't, we're not going to be able to address the hormone imbalances and the metabolism problem. Hormones and metabolism are both heavily influenced by inflammation and gut health. So we need to do this in the right order. Pam had tried to improve her gut health and inflammation in the past with probiotic supplements and detoxes, but they didn't help. They sometimes even made things worse. So instead, we started with food. We started Pam on a low inflammatory nutrition protocol that is meant to reduce chronic inflammation. And we use a version of the autoimmune diet that is very well researched and specifically for reducing inflammation for those who have autoimmune disorders. But I find it incredibly restrictive. So we use a variation that allows for more food choices and flexibility and is more sustainable, but still effectively reduces inflammation. If we can get her body to calm down a little bit, be less inflamed, it would be more receptive to change. And that's what reducing inflammation does. It allows your body to get out of survival mode so that your systems can work better. So some things that cause inflammation, processed foods in general, cause inflammation. So we reduce the intake of those foods with added sugar, processed meats, seed oils, prepackaged foods with tons of ingredients. You can't just take an antibiotic or supplements and still eat inflammatory foods and expect that your gut's going to get better or your inflammation is going to come down. So since Pam had SIBO, we also had to remove a group of foods called FODMAPs. These are fermentable sugars like lactose and fructose that SIBO will feed off of. Basically, if you have SIBO and eat FODMAPs, the bacteria in the gut will feed off the FODMAPs, and then the byproduct of that is methane gas. And that gas makes you feel bloated. It can cause constipation or diarrhea. So we want to make sure that we're avoiding FODMAPs. We also increase certain foods with nutrients that are shown to reduce inflammation, like omega-3s, vitamin C, and polyphenols. This article here in the corner shows that eating these foods can drive down inflammation that causes chronic diseases, including obesity, can help reestablish hormone balance, and reduces hunger and cravings. So here's the list of inflammatory foods that we gave to Pam. If you want it, go ahead and screenshot it. And this is Pam's weight chart for the first 10 days. After following that, she will lose 6 pounds in the first 10 days just by eating lower inflammatory foods. Okay, So now we've essentially removed the trigger for inflammation and gut stress. So if you remember our goals from phase 2, number 1, reduce inflammation, check. Number 2, eliminate things that are causing irritation, check. But food isn't necessarily the problem, it's just the trigger. The problem is that her body is responding to food in a way that is negative, and something is wrong that's causing that. So now we've got to eliminate the problem and optimize our gut function. The reason it's important to remove the trigger first is sort of like if you had a water leak in your basement, you would find the source of the leak, seal the crack, or stop the water from coming in, and then you would remove the water. But if you tried to remove the water before sealing the crack, you'd be doing a lot of work and making no progress, because as you're taking water out, more water is just pouring in. And low inflammatory nutrition is basically sealing the crack, which is fantastic. But then there's still going to be water in the basement. So now we've got to remove it. So next, we had to optimize her gut function. And so first we gave her a few supplements to kill off the bacteria overgrowth. Keep in mind that what we give to each person in this part of it is highly dependent on the problem they're having. Okay, so we killed off the bacteria overgrowth now, first by starving it with low inflammatory nutrition, and then by killing it with supplementation. The issue is that killing the bacteria overgrowth also means killing a lot of good bacteria. So next we had to repopulate her gut with good bacteria. We gave her a digestive enzyme to make sure that she was breaking down food as best she could, and then a probiotic to bring good bacteria back into the system. As far as food goes, we increased her fiber and her fermented foods, because the bacteria will feed on fiber and produce what are called short-chain fatty acids. You can see in this paper here that discuss them, short-chain fatty acids are anti-inflammatory, anti-obesity, anti-diabetes, and they protect your heart and brain. They are incredibly powerful. The last step is to repair and heal the GI tract. The intestinal wall, which is the barrier between your intestines and the rest of your body, is only one cell layer thick, super, super thin. It's designed to be permeable and allow nutrients and water to be absorbed. However, when we have inflammation or dysbiosis, which is an imbalance between bacteria in your gut, the wall can become too permeable and allow microbes to pass through, and they shouldn't be able to get through. So now you have these microbes from your gut in your bloodstream, and your body launches an immune response on them, driving up inflammation. And now we have more inflammation in the system, and this could be the root cause of things like autoimmune disorders, Hashimoto's, weakened metabolism, hormone imbalances. So we use a supplement called GI Repair Complex to essentially heal and repair the intestinal wall and make it less permeable, while simultaneously strengthening the muscles of the GI tract so that she can have better bowel movements as well. And after doing this for just a couple of weeks, she had noticeable improvements in mental clarity, energy, and bloating. She also, again, was able to drop 10 pounds quickly just by reducing inflammation and giving her gut what it needed. And the cool part is all she had to do was follow a simple food list and take a few highly specific supplements. It was easy for her. So phase 2 is really about setting up your body for success, removing the source of chronic inflammation, and giving your body what it needs so that it can get out of survival mode. Otherwise, it's like running uphill. You just work harder and go slower. Once you remove the problem, we can start the process of optimizing your hormones and your metabolism, and that's exactly what we did with Pam next, which brings us to phase 3. Now that we've got less inflammation and a gut that is healthy, we're eating the right foods by following the list, we can optimize our hormones and metabolism so that you can have the body and the health that you want and show up for your family and career better. What is crazy is that most diets and programs are doing the exact opposite of this. They're actually restricting you from the nutrients that you need to make your hormones and metabolism function better. They're restricting from them so that those things function worse. This is exactly what's happening to Pam. After going through our phase 3, she told me that she has more energy and can focus on her business and her family better than she ever has before. And I hear this all the time from my clients. So balancing hormones and restoring metabolism are very similar to each other. So some of the things that we do are going to help both. The proper function of hormones like cortisol, which is your stress hormone, thyroid hormone, which is the gas pedal on metabolism, insulin, carbohydrate utilization, testosterone and growth hormone, which is for muscle growth and recovery, leptin and ghrelin, which are hunger and satiety hormones. They all affect metabolism. That's why balanced hormones are so important for fat loss. So here are the main areas that we focus on to balance your hormones and speed up metabolism. Number 1, nutrition. 2, exercise. And 3 is recovery. Pam was already eating the low inflammatory foods, so her actual food choices that she was consuming were good, but she was making 3 critical mistakes. Number 1, she wasn't eating enough food, like volume of food, nearly enough to support hormone production. She would miss meals entirely with her busy schedule, and she wasn't getting enough protein in. So we built her a plan using the palm, fist, thumb method to make sure that she was getting enough food volume and enough protein in without having to weigh and measure everything. The basics of this are you use your palm to estimate protein, your fist to estimate carbohydrates, and your thumb to estimate fats. Okay, and I gave you some targets of what those would look like here if you wanted to screenshot that and look at it. Then we gave Pam specific targets for each meal to shoot for. For example, dinner, we gave her 1.5 palms of fatty protein, 1 fist of starch, 1 fist of veggies, and 1 thumb of oil. We also gave her an exchange list right here so that she knew exactly what foods would fit inside those categories and gave her the freedom to mix and match and eat the foods that she liked. It also gave her a framework so that she could follow her plan easily at social events and work events. Her plan also had a strong emphasis on protein because protein is important for healing the gut, number one, but also for your hormones. Your hormones, most of them in the human body, other than your sex hormones and your adrenal hormones, are actually proteins themselves. So we need to be getting enough protein for optimal function and in turn to have a strong metabolism. Protein directly affects our metabolism in a few ways as well. Number one, it helps you build and repair muscle. And number two, it actually takes a lot of energy to break down. So your body spends calories just to digest protein. As a general rule of thumb, you should shoot for 0.8 to 1.0 times your body weight as a protein goal. So let's say you weighed 100 pounds, you would multiply it by either 0.8, 0.9, or 1.0, and that would give you your protein goal. If you have more than 50 pounds to lose, you should use your short-term goal weight as that current body weight because it might just be too much for that part of the equation. So then you have your protein goal, and then you can use the palm fist thumb method that we talked about before to make sure that you actually are hitting your protein target. And that's what Pam did. Now, since we had her gut under control and the foundation for nutrition in place, we could address her nutritional deficiencies that we found in her labs. So we got her on a high quality multivitamin, vitamin D, magnesium, B vitamins, and iron. And these all play a really important role in metabolism. So it gave her a nice boost. Also, she mentioned that these documents were helpful. So I figured I'd drop them here. The first one is our Super Shakes Guide, which is a guide that has shakes that you can take with you on the go. So you don't have a lot of time to stop and eat. You can still stick to your plan. And this is a 60-minute meal prep hack guide to prep all your food for the week in under 60 minutes so you can be prepared and in a short amount of time. Okay, on to exercise. So exercise has influence over several hormones. Most importantly for Pam, though, was insulin, which controls blood sugar. She was pre-diabetic, if not diabetic before starting. So when we eat food, our body releases insulin. Insulin's job is to tell our cells to take in sugar from the blood and store it for later in the muscles and the liver. But when we become insulin resistant, our cells actually start ignoring insulin signal, and they don't take in sugar like they should. So we end up with too much sugar and insulin in the blood. And now, because our cells aren't using that sugar properly, our body decides to store it as body fat instead of using it for energy. So that is what this graphics here is showing. We eat food, we make insulin. If our cells are resistant, we store it as body fat. Nutrition is part of fixing this, but the other part is exercise. So we got Pam on a simple exercise plan that she could easily fit into her life. We started with 10 to 20 minutes of walking first thing in the morning, standing for at least 5 minutes of every hour, and then 20 to 30 minute strength training sessions that she can do at home a couple times a week. Standing and walking is highly underutilized as a tool to enhance your hormones and strengthen your metabolism. For example, for men, you can increase your testosterone by up to 56 nanograms per deciliter by getting 8,000 steps per day. And that's a big increase for men. It's a huge improvement. And it can also lower cortisol, which can reduce belly fat storage. So a lot of benefits in standing and walking. It even stimulates metabolism as well, more than most people realize. For an 8-hour period of sitting, you would spend about 280 calories. If you're seated with the ability to stand, 650 calories. If you're standing for the whole 8 hours, 860 calories. If you're doing strenuous work like construction, 2,250 calories. And walking at 1 mile an hour can even double your standing caloric output here. My client Dave lost over 80 pounds, and in the first 4 months, all he did for exercise was walk. Didn't do anything crazy. So standing and walking, highly, highly beneficial. The next part of her plan was strength training. Most people are wasting time in the gym, to be honest. Like, you can get a really great strength training session in less than 45 minutes. So we use strategies like supersets, giant sets, EMOMs, etc., to make sure that Pam was as efficient as possible with her workouts and could get the most out of them. She's a high performer. She doesn't have time to be dilly-dallying in the gym. We also optimized her plan for muscle because muscle is metabolic, meaning it uses energy just to maintain. So if we have more of it, you have a faster metabolism and you burn fat more easily. And the last part of balancing hormones and strengthening metabolism is recovery. When we talk about recovery, there are two main key elements. Number one is reducing our external and internal stressors. We already talked about how we did this by eliminating your gut issues, improving your metabolic health, addressing nutrient deficiencies. But number two is enhancing our ability to recover from those stressors. Your metabolism and hormones are essentially a barometer for stress. When they recognize stress, hormone production and metabolism slow down. If we aren't recovering from those stressors, internal or external, we're going to have a really hard time losing fat, building muscle, and improving our health. So this is what we did with Pam to enhance her recovery. Number one, we optimized her sleep routine. We followed what I call the 3-2-1 rule, which is you end eating 3 hours before bed and drinking 2 hours before bed, and then end blue lights 30 minutes to an hour before bed. We also optimized her sleep environment, cold room, blackout shades, remove pets, that sort of thing. Number 2, we implemented daily walks as we spoke about before, but now we did them outside in the sun first thing in the morning, because morning sunlight is a simple biohack to regulate your cortisol levels and improve your sleep. And getting out in nature has also been proven to reduce overall stress. Number 3 is CO2 tolerance. So CO2 tolerance is a breathing test that we use to measure our body's ability to handle stress. What's interesting is that when you're stressed, carbon dioxide, which is CO2, builds up in the blood. And that's why people hyperventilate when they're super stressed. They're actually trying to get rid of CO2. So what we found was Pam's CO2 tolerance was really low. So I recommended a breathwork protocol specifically to build up her CO2 tolerance. And when you build up tolerance, you're actually able to handle and recover from stress better. A simple protocol for this is a 4 to 6 second inhale, 4 to 6 second hold, 4 to 6 second exhale, and then you repeat that for 3 to 5 minutes. And if you do this post-workout, it'll enhance recovery. If you do it before bed, it'll enhance your sleep. And the last thing here for Pam, which is reading and spending time with family, this was just something that Pam loved to do, and often can get drowned out. And simply spending time doing things that you love will enhance your ability to recover as well. Here's the craziest part that happened to Pam. Once she implemented her plan, she was actually losing weight so quickly that I was nervous that something was wrong. And I had her go to her doctor and get checked out because I thought she might be sick. She felt awesome, but I was just nervous because I kept giving her more food and weight just kept coming off. Then her doctor called me and asked if he could start sending patients my way because Pam's health did a complete 180 in just a few months. She had brought her glucose down from 180 to 97, then all the way to 85, which is now an optimal range. She had lost 51 pounds and she looks incredible. Pam felt so good that she actually started to enjoy eating and living this way and wanted more of it. That's how powerful this system and feedback loop is when it's executed properly, intentionally, and with nuance behind every decision. And every change is fundamentally understood. So now that you know exactly how this process works, I have an offer for you. If you are a high performer, entrepreneur, someone who cares about excelling in all areas of their life, career, health, relationships, and you're wanting to get to the root cause of things like low energy, brain fog, bloating, gut issues, hormone imbalances, or you're looking to optimize your health so you can perform better, show up better for your family, or even take your career to the next level, and you want to lose 20 plus pounds in less than 90 days without starving yourself, or spending hours in the gym, or counting your macros, then we'll help you implement our Human Biomapping so that you can replicate this exact process for yourself and see results in half the time and energy it would take for you to do it on your own. In fact, we're so confident we can help you get results that if we don't, we'll work with you for free until you do. So if you want to see similar results to Pam and want access to the same process that she went through, hit the first link in the description and book a call with me to see if you're a good fit for the program. And if it is a good fit, we can talk about how to work together and what that would look like. Worst case scenario, if it isn't a good fit, I'll point you in another direction to make it better for you. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it really helpful. And for any of you, book a call. I'm looking forward to speaking with you.